Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Quantum Leap Futures Morning Leap Session for Friday, July the 21st, 2017. My name is Doug McKay. I'm the founder of Quantum Leap Futures. Each morning we get together in these live go-to sessions to take a look at the market, macro to micro, take a look at the structure of the market. Then we drill down and take a look at our trading levels, our targets, and our hypotheses. We do create several hypotheses in order to have a plan in place so that we can wait and see what the market does. Then we can execute the plan which best suits what the market is doing. This is a subscription room. If you're interested in checking out, please send me an email at quantumleapfutures@gmail.com. There's no website, there's no blog. This is not a commercial venture. We do everything live here in the go-to, and then we do live trading and analysis during the course of the trading day. Okay, so please read through the disclaimer. Nobody at Quantum Leap is a certified trading advisor. We are retail traders operating within a self-organized learning environment. Past performance is not indicative of future results, and the trades that you see in Quantum Leap are for education purposes only. Please trade your own due diligence, your own trade plan, and your own risk metrics. Okay, so first of all, let's just take a quick look at the news. There's really no big news today. Very late news day. Most of everything was Canadian news coming out at 8:30. CPI came out as expected. Core retail sales came out just slightly below expected. Common CPI year over year came out just slightly ahead. Median CPI year over year, same thing. Retail sales month over month came out as a pretty decent beat. And trimmed CPI and core CPI came out as it was previous. And there's no other scheduled news. Now, there's lots of headline news going on about Trump. This whole deal with Trump and what he brings to the market is just unreal, and always be running stops in this market right now, because yesterday was a good example of what can happen. Taking a look at yesterday. Yesterday, our main hypothesis was a rotation down into the 68 to 64 area, and then finding responsive buyers and rotating us back up and going and equalizing the all-time high that was put in the Globex at 76 and a quarter. We opened auction at a range, and it looked like we were going to get Hypo 3 setting up, which was balancing higher. And then that news about Mueller going into Trump's business with Russia sold off really quickly. Then we rotated back to the scene of the crime. Looked like they were going to continue it lower and come down and get the continuation wave down to the 64 and a quarter naked VPOC. But then the buyers stepped in. We had a higher low and put in the higher fractal high. We had a measured move up to 77, 75 on the Renko. And we were looking for that continuation, but they got to 74, 75, failed, and then they sold off into the close and came down and settled in around the 71 area. Overnight, basically, inventory is about net neutral, I would say. Basically went sideways in the upper distribution of this P-shaped profile, tried to go higher, broke slightly out of yesterday's range. I'm sorry, no, they didn't break out of the range. They got to the high of the range again, just like they did in the Globex the prior night, and then we've been selling off and coming down. That zipper measured move is actually still valid until we get below 67.75. So if the buyers do step in, I think that this is showing some weakness down here and likely to come down into the 64 and a quarter. So let's take our look back at the macro, as I always like to do. I like to go to my toss paper money, where I just keep simple bar charts or candlestick charts with a 9 EMA and a 20 SMA. And I'm starting with the monthly. I'm looking for slope and separation, strength of the trend. You can see the trend is very strong on the monthly. Going to the weekly, same thing. New all-time highs, holding the 9 quite nicely. Going to the daily, again, same thing. So far, we've got an inside day on the full session so far. Do have a bit of a technical gap. A move to close the gap will take us down probably into the 59 area, into that gap zone that we'll talk about. There is a naked cross on the daily all the way down at the 29.30 area. So that's something, if we do start breaking below the 9, you want to be targeting that 30 area. And there's other reasons to be targeting it too. We'll take a look at it in a minute. On the 4-hour, we've got a rounding top here. We're below the 9 and the 20. Below the 9 but above the 20. The test of the 20 is going to take us down into the 66.75 area. So we are seeing some weakness as we move into the smaller time frames. Going to the 1 hour, you can see we're now getting slope and separation to the downside. This is what I was talking about, why it was looking weak. On the 30-minute, you can see that's accelerating to the downside. There's a naked cross up here, though, at 72. And then going to the 15-minute, again, naked cross up here in the 72.75, but we are accelerating, and they are violating that measured move from yesterday. This is looking very weak. Going to the 5-minute, same thing. So we do have some unfinished business above, some naked crosses. Also, we do have that unequalized high. We did not take out that 76 and a quarter. That is an unequalized high. We got within 4 ticks of it and failed. So right now we are breaking down. So we're going to get new Globex lows, but as it stands right now, our Globex high 75 and a quarter. Weak double top, unequalized high, naked crosses, all up here. I'll put in the overnight low at 76.50, but looks like we're going to have to move it around. Our pretty strong kurtosis around this 71. You can see that it's basically right within a few ticks of our VPOC from yesterday. So they are accepting value a little bit higher. We got the naked close there as well, and that's about all the information. You can see right here that we're in all-time new territory. There's nothing to guide us except for the previous 2 days. 2-day balance is right there at that 71. So we're getting strong price acceptance there at the 71. We've got to see whether or not that becomes buyers or sellers overall. And if we can't get back above it, then I'm looking for us to rotate down into that naked VPOC from Wednesday down to the 64 and a quarter and come down and test this 3-day balance that we broke out of, and anything below 61 and a quarter back down into the 57 to come down and close this gap right here. A lot of repair work to do below us, but again, this market just doesn't want to sell off at all. So taking a look at our levels, there's no real LVNs to speak of. It's pretty good kurtosis around the 71 area. We do have to move this overnight low down further. They're just working it way down. So in terms of key levels, we want to just pay attention to this 61.75 area. That's going to be very, very important. Obviously, the 65.50 low from yesterday. If we take out this overnight low or expand the overnight low, Anything below that, I'm looking for a quick move down into the 64 level. This is a valid area. We had pretty tight range with value, setting up between 70 and 74. And paying so much attention to the 75 and a quarter as a breakout, because I expect if we do get outside of value, we'll go and take out that 76 and a quarter. I just want to step back just for one quick minute and go back to the daily. Actually, I'm going to go to the 4 hour first. I just want to see what type of measured moves we've got here. So bring up my fib extension. And whoops, I want to take it from here, more prominent. Did I get the right? Yeah, I didn't get the right drawing tool, sorry. So we have a measured move to 82.75, make it 82.50. I mean, this is the only thing we can do in terms of measurements to the upside. There's really nothing to take, and there's really not anything I can measure from right here. Let's just go to the weekly. And that one's already been hit. So there's really not a lot to guide us except for that 82. 82.50. That's just above our weekly, or just below our weekly ATR. All right, and then below us, nothing changes down here. In terms of our daily ATRs, our overnight high being 75 and a quarter. Our 20-period daily ATR is running at 1698, back below that 17, and that takes us down to a daily ATR of 58 and a quarter, right on top of that range. And then currently off of the low of 67. Our upside daily that's not wrong. That's wrong. 67. I do not like this new calculator I bought. Oh, now it's not working. $84. Okay, and then our critical mass changes. Our week open is 57. We have one daily ATR left. So 74 is our critical mass. So basically, if we break out a value, we're going to be kicking into critical mass. What does critical mass mean? It means that coming into the end of the week, if the week cannot become in this circumstance, a bearish week by getting below the 24.57, and we get later in the day and we are above the daily ATR, usually you'll see capitulation and people will the sellers will step aside and will drift higher into the close. So what is my main hypothesis? Well, we still are one time framing up. I expect that we're likely to come and test this unequalized high and the weak high from overnight. So my main hypothesis is an open auction in range, a move down towards the 64 and somewhere between the 64 and 61, maybe even a dip down into the gap, but finding responsive buyers and rotating us up through and coming up and taking out the 71. That is our main target for the hypo 1, chopping in this value area and then pushing up and putting in a new all-time high and equalizing these highs. I don't know how high we're going to go. I'm just expecting that coming into Friday that we'll drift up, barring news. Now, hypo 2 will be an open auction in range, a push up, take out the naked VPOC and the naked close, chop in value, fail or get a false breakout, and then find responsive sellers and rotate us all the way down. And the main target on hypo 2 is 64.25, chop around in this area with maybe a late date probe down into the 60 to 58 area. Those are my hypo 1s and hypo 2. Hypo 3 is a failure to take out the overnight high, a move up, find responsive sellers in the value area, and then rotate us down into the 60 area, chop around here, and then push down into the 54 area, possibly test that all-time high, prior all-time high that was put in June at the 51.50. That's hypo 3. And then hypo 4 is another balancing day, and basically trade between the 61 and the 71 and just fill in the wick, okay, down here and create a 3-day balance within this area. The alternative is a open drive up, leaving the prior day range alone and ripping us up into the 74 area, chopping, and then pushing up and coming up into the weekly upside targets and that measured move up into the 82 area. But I find that that's probably unlikely with the way this market is trading right now. So I'm thinking more in tune of hypo 1 to hypo 3. Take a quick look at gold. Oops. Gold, as I was saying yesterday, we were looking for balance in around that 42 to 46 area, and then continuation and a push up into the composite VPOC. You can go and watch the video from yesterday. We are above this key level at 49 and coming up into the 50s, and I'm expecting continuation and move up into the composite. This composite VPOC is the most traded price going all the way back to October of 2008, and I expect it to be a magnet now that we're in the 50s. If we do not hold 49, look for them to rotate back down to 43 to 41 area to pick up late buyers and then make the move again. If we do not hold the 38 area, 37 area, then look for them to come down into the 31 area again. I'm not expecting a lot from gold today. I think we just creep higher up into that 56 area. So that's going to complete our pre-market session. As always, trade well, trade safe, and we'll catch you on the flip side.